in 1965. And so what we offered was an amendment to update it. In other words, use the last 3 presidential elections, and then after the next presidential election, the oldest one would roll off. And so we put that in as an amendment. Of course, it didn't pass. And then the Supreme Court, there was another case, I think it was a Texas case in 2009, and they didn't actually sue on the Section 5, but the courts, in a very gentle way, said you need to update the criteria of who is under the pre-clearance. And we didn't do anything. And so I think they could throw it out, and then I hope we'll take our time and we'll do something to come up with something else that we could do.
Let's go to Leroy in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Democrats line. Welcome, Leroy.
Morning.
Morning.
Senator Westmoreland.
Yeah.
You just said you were about your rate of pay. You look at the ratio now, 725 to 5 to the poor. I mean, it's a big gap in between the poor and the rich, and you don't want to close any loopholes that'll last 6 to 8 minutes. Every penny counts. Rich, they don't need any help.
So, Leroy, what would you like to see happen? What are your solutions?
Close loopholes. They don't need the help. The poor need the help.
Okay. So, you know, how do we get that money from the loopholes to the poor?
Leroy, are you still with us? I think we lost him.
Okay. Well, you know, my point is that, you know, if we're going to do something, we need to do something that's going to really matter, and it's not just a good soundbite. We need to restructure our whole tax system. Why do we want to look at closing 10 or 12, 15, 20, 30, 40 loopholes when we need to restructure our whole tax system? You know, I wish we could go to a fair tax. I mean, you know, the thing that scares me about the fair tax is that we would get so much money in, it would probably expand government. But we need to look at some different ways that we pay taxes. And when it costs billions of dollars for the average American just to fill out his tax return. So, I mean, sure, closing loopholes, but closing loopholes is not going to solve the problem. If I thought it was going to solve the problem, I'd be all for it. But, you know, if you close the loophole for gas and oil companies, you know, they do exploration and research and development with it. Now, if they're still going to do exploration and research and development, one of 2 things. If they don't get the tax break for doing it, the price at the pump is going to go up. So I don't know how that really helps close the gap. And if they don't do research and development, we're not going to get more gas mileage for our cars. And if they don't do the research and try to find new oil reserves, then we're not going to have enough energy. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with closing loopholes. I'm not taking up for big oil or any of the big companies. I'm just saying that we need to do some real reform if we want to get down to really and truly being able to handle our fiscal crisis.
Westmoreland, there's a story here from Business Insider that says a Pentagon report says a cyber attack could turn U.S. weapons against America. What does Congress need to do to protect against cyber attack?
We need to pass the House cyber bill. It's something that we had last year. We passed it out of the House, but couldn't get the Senate to go along with it. The President has put an executive order in place, and we think that's a good starting point. But we hope that we can work with the administration and the Senate to get our cyber bill passed. Ours is a volunteer basis between business. It allows businesses to work together against cyber attacks. It allows the government to maybe point out to some businesses some potential attacks that they have. And so we need desperately to pass that bill. And people don't really understand the cyber, and especially people, I guess, in my generation aren't, really up on all the technology that's out there. But, we had the Chinese even trying to break in and get the Coke formula, which, being a Georgia guy, that's